Well, the New York Jets are a team that seems to be unraveling. They've lost 2 straight games in blowout fashion. They're now 3-6. And this week, the story has been Jets players anonymously coming out in the media and ripping a teammate. We've heard this before. This time, the teammate they're ripping, not Mark Sanchez. It is Tim Tebow, the backup quarterback. And that's a little bit unusual when you consider that Tim Tebow has only been on the field about 6 or 7 plays a game this year. So certainly, the Jets' performance this year, their abysmal performance this year, you can't blame that on Tim Tebow, regardless of what these players think about his performance in practice or wherever else. And practice is where you'd guess they're getting this from because, again, he just hasn't been on the field that much. But par for the course for this New York Jets team. Remember, last season it was players coming out and ripping Mark Sanchez anonymously and not so anonymously. And that's really the environment that Rex Ryan has fostered in the locker room. And, hey, it was all great when guys were running their mouths and they were going to AFC championship games there in Ryan's first couple of seasons. But now that things have gone south this last couple of years, we see this team tearing apart. And who knows? Who knows if Rex Ryan is going to get another season as coach of the New York Jets, assuming the Jets keep going on this path they're currently going down and end up only winning 6 or 7 games. Now, they go on the road on Sunday to take on the St. Louis Rams. The Rams are a team, they also only have 3 wins like the Jets, 5 losses and 1 tie. The Rams coming off that tie, an unusual result, the first tie we've seen since 2008 in the NFL. But you know what, if you're the St. Louis Rams, considering they were playing the San Francisco 49ers on the road, they were double-digit underdogs in that game, a tie is not a bad result. I know the players probably don't want to hear that. And the Rams were in control of that game. They blew it. They had an excellent opportunity to win, but still, could be worse than a tie for the Rams in San Francisco. And even though the Rams only have 3 wins like the Jets, there's not as much negativity around this team. Jeff Fisher's done an excellent job in his first season as head coach. The Rams were terrible last year, only won 2 games all season. And this year, with the exception of the New England game, the New England game at Wembley Stadium where the Rams were beaten 45-7, and that was a high-profile game, so that was a tough loss. You can't just erase that game from the schedule. But when you look at the Rams overall, that game looks like an outlier, with the exception of that game. They've been tough. They've been competitive in all their other games. They've really outperformed expectations. 6-3 against the spread this year, despite the fact they're only 3-5-1 overall. And this week, they're 3.5-point favorites at home over the New York Jets. This is the first time all season the Rams have been favored in any game, so unfamiliar territory for the St. Louis Rams. And the reason people have been so slow to come around on this team is they have a really limited offense. 28th in the NFL in points scored. Though their offense has been playing a little better these last couple of weeks. Danny Amendola returning to the lineup now. He was big for them last week in that San Francisco game. Amendola, of course, hurt his collarbone 5 or 6 weeks ago. I thought it was a broken collarbone, and I guess it was. But if it was, an incredibly fast return for Amendola. And you could tell last week in the San Francisco game how much trust Sam Bradford has in Amendola. Passing game looks a lot better with Amendola back in the fold now. So you expect to see the St. Louis Rams offense improve a little bit this week. They certainly improve a little bit more this week. They certainly showed flashes last week. And the 49ers defense, a lot tougher than the New York Jets defense. The Jets have been disappointing on defense this season. 30th in the NFL in rush defense. Very unusual for a Rex Ryan defense to not be able to stop the run. Now, all that being said, I've said these good things about the Rams and these bad things about the Jets. I have a sneaking feeling that the Jets might be a good bet as 3.5-point underdogs this week. Hey, it all comes down to, are the Jets really unraveling? Is their season just spiraling out of control? Or do they have 1 or 2 more, are they going to rally around each other and come out fighting? Do they have 1 more inspired performance left? Do they have any fight left in them? I think they do, and I could be wrong about this. Teams that I think don't, for example, the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles are a team that I think is done, even though I believe they have the same exact record as the New York Jets. They do. And the Jets and the Eagles might be the same team. Maybe I'm just misreading this, but I'm not sure the Jets are quite to the point the Eagles are yet, where the players know they're done, the coach is as good as done. I look for the Jets to play well this week, especially on defense. I don't have any faith in this New York Jets offense right now. Of course, the question swirling about when will the quarterback change happen. I think the quarterback change should have already happened in New York. Mark Sanchez has been among the worst starting quarterbacks in the NFL this season. He doesn't have many options around him, or many weapons around him, that is, on offense. But that's precisely the point. Tim Tebow can create offense for himself with his running ability. So he showed in Denver last year a lot of times even if there aren't many weapons, even if guys might not be able to be open, or if he can't get the ball to those guys, he can create offense on his own. Remember, he led that 95-yard touchdown drive to beat the New York Jets almost exactly 1 year ago. So I really don't understand the hesitance on the part of Rex Ryan to go to Tim Tebow. Well, I do understand the hesitance because the New York Jets have committed so much money to Sanchez. He is their franchise quarterback, and I do believe that once they put him on the bench and go to Tim Tebow, it will be the end of Sanchez in New York. And so I think that's why they're a little slow to do that. Will this be the end of the Sanchez era this week? Listen, the last couple of weeks we've been saying that. Seems like every New York Jets game, really since the Houston game a few weeks ago, we've said, is this the end of the Sanchez era? And Rex Ryan's been steadfast in his support of Sanchez, so we'll see. But just like last week against St. Louis, or against Seattle, I said going into that game, I said maybe, just maybe, if we see a result like Seattle up 14-3 at halftime, something like that, we might see Tim Tebow in the second half. And we saw a result close to that. The Jets last week only had 7 points at halftime, and they got those points on a defensive touchdown. But Rex Ryan did not make the switch. And again, just like he had in past weeks, it's unusual. Even when the Jets are way down at garbage time at the end of the game, he's not putting Sanchez on the bench. Now, a lot of coaches in that situation would put their starter on the bench just because they don't want to risk injury when the game's already out of hand. Rex Ryan has not done that. I think we all know why, because it would almost be a bad situation for him if he put Tebow in there and the offense showed any spark. That would just make the quarterback controversy even bigger than it already is, though I don't know if that's possible. But again, I don't have much faith in the New York Jets offense, but I do have a feeling. I think this Jets defense, they're 17th in the league right now in yards allowed, but I think they're a little bit better than the stats would indicate. I have a feeling we're going to see this Jets defense come together and play well this week. St. Louis, not a great offense. They are better with Amendola back now, and they have, I guess, gotten it together a little bit over the last couple of weeks, but I don't know. We see a total here, very low, 38.5. I think it's justifiably low. I do expect a low-scoring game here. And this could be the type of game where the 3.5 points, again, St. Louis, a 3.5-point favorite, this could be the type of game where those 3.5 points might come in handy. I expect a close game here, and I have a lean towards the Jets, plus 3.5 on the road.